Hello, one and all. Welcome to the Jack and Joe Show. Joe Sansom alongside me. Today, we're going to be previewing the game against Tottenham Hotspur on the Monday Night Football. First of all, Joe, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, mate. Hope you are too. I mean, if you took a shot during the last video every time I said, we'll preview the Spurs game next week, you'd probably be dead by now. So you're looking forward to me repeating myself. But I'm really looking forward to Premier League football being back this weekend, Jack. But before we get into it, a word from our sponsor, Green King Sport. And we've got some exciting news to bring you today, slightly different from normal, is that up until the end of the month, the 29th of October, you can get 20% off all drinks at any Green King Sports pub an hour before, during, or after any televised sports, not just football. Obviously, does include the football, but you could also be looking at the Cricket World Cup or the rugby, for example, this weekend when England take on South Africa in the semi-finals. You could go and get your discount then. And to get this deal, all you have to do is download the Green King Sports app.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we're in for a treat this weekend. There's some absolute cracking football on. So if you do fancy going down to a Green King pub to watch the games, you have some picks for you, starting with the Merseyside derby, 12:30 on TNT Sports. Liverpool hosting Everton at Anfield. Then we go to London for the 5:30 kickoff on Sky. Chelsea hosting Arsenal, unbeaten Arsenal, of course. And then an even later game that evening, Sheffield United hosting Manchester United. Can Sheffield United get their first win of the season against a wobbly Manchester United side who obviously beat Brentford last time out? One game on the Sunday, as the late game it's like a new schedule this season where you have like a late game on a Saturday and then one on the Sunday. Aston Villa hosting West Ham United on Sky. And then, of course, the Monday Night Football, the big one, as Tottenham Hotspur host Fulham. We won't be in a Green King pub for that game because we will be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, both of us in the flesh, which means, Joe, you are allowed to talk about the game and you are allowed to talk about it next week as well because you're going to be there.
Yeah, I'm not going to sub myself up for next week because I will be at this one. I promise, guys. I assure you, I will be there no matter what. And it will be a sold out away contingent, 3,000 Fulham fans on a Monday night. Hopefully better than our last game on a Monday night. And we do have another one coming up to talk about in a few weeks' time against Wolves. I mean, we're getting a bit used to this slot now in October and November, Jack. So Tottenham are unbeaten, and they are the only unbeaten team in the league aside from their other North London counterparts in Arsenal. We obviously got a great result there early this season that was, let's face it, very, very unexpected. But it was also very deserved. It was a great performance. And sometimes when we do play against some of the teams that take on the onus a little bit more and attack us, I do feel like we perform better. I thought in the first half against Manchester City, it goes under the radar after what happened basically 45th minute onwards, but we were very, very good. We were very good. We deserved that 1-1 scoreline, potentially even more. City had one shot in the game through Alvarez when they went 1-0 up, and we were really picking them off on the counter-attacking, looking dangerous. And I hope we can do that against Tottenham. We're the only club to beat them in any competition this season in terms of the Carabao Cup game. That was probably our best all-round performance of the season, you'd have to say, Jack, when you factor in the opposition. They're a very dangerous team. I am scared for their attack and how we'll cope, especially when you factor in that we don't know if Diop's back. We've been a bit leaky anyway. How do you approach this game if you are Marco Silva? Is it literally rinse and repeat from Arsenal? Or do you want to try and take them on a little bit? Because despite their record, they can 100% be got at. You saw what Sheffield United did. You saw the way that they've leaked goals in other games, including against 10-man Liverpool. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. It's going to be obviously a very tricky game, one of the trickiest you'll have all season. It doesn't really help the fact they're unbeaten, and there's probably the best feel-good factor at Spurs since Pochettino's days and since they got to a Champions League final. Ange Postecoglou is not only winning over every single fan in the country, regardless of who you support, but he's playing some brilliant football, and they're getting good results. And even with 10 men against Luton, albeit it is Luton, they're not doing very well this season. They won the game Their last 2 home games, they've come from behind to win incredibly late on. So there is this sort of never say die attitude in that Spurs team that is sort of giving me the heebie-jeebies. It's making me quite nervous for this game. But then again, you know, would I call it a free hit? No, but there's opportunity here. I think we're coming off a very, very good win against Sheffield United. The confidence is higher than it was a couple of weeks ago. And I fancy us to sort of cause a stir and maybe upset them. I don't want to give away my score prediction just yet, but I feel like we could go there and get something. I'm really feeling positive. And if we can frustrate the crowd, obviously they're without Basuma, get on top of them. It's difficult because I think there's 2 centre-backs who I look at right now in Van der Ven and Romero, who at the moment are 2 of the best centre-backs in the league. And as a partnership, they're doing incredibly well. Pedro Porro on one side, Udogie on the other. And my worry is when it comes to Vinicius up top, if he plays, there's not going to be much of a battle. There will be a battle between them, but I don't think that Vinicius is necessarily going to get the better of those 2 centre-backs. I mean, maybe. I mean, he can hold up the ball quite nicely, Vinicius at times, but with those 2 on form, it's going to be tricky. And I think it's going to be important in the attacking phases how we deal with Spurs. Can we get at them on the counter-attack with Willian and Wilson, who of course scored a brace the other day? Pereira's got to play at the top of his game. There is opportunity for Fulham here. But you can't discredit Richarlison, Maddison, Kulusevski, Son. I mean, that is a frightening front 4. Lots of creativity, lots of goals. And I look at our front 4, what could be Willian, Pereira, Wilson, Vinicius. It's, David v. Goliath-esque, maybe. But I still think there's chances for Fulham here. And let's not go into this thinking we're going to get a thrashing. It's more of a case of, well, we've beaten them once. Can we beat them again? And I know that was over a penalty shootout, but in the 90 minutes, I think we'll both say that we deserve to win the game, I think. But it's going to be a tough game. And do I want Spurs to do very well this season? Yes. But when they play Fulham, I obviously want Fulham to win. I think we can get something from the game, Joe. And what would be your 11? How would you line up? And what are your thoughts on that midfield battle? Because obviously no Basuma and Paulinho is probably going to feature.
Yeah, I think that's huge for us because, when they have Basuma in full flow, he can turn defence into attack so quickly, which ironically is exactly what he was doing when he got sent off for a second yellow. If he hadn't dived, it was a fantastic run. He's living up to the player that we all thought that Spurs were signing when he left Brighton. He's playing in the same sort of free role at the base of midfield where he sort of pops up everywhere, but doesn't diminish from his duties as a defensive midfielder first and foremost. Love watching him. Very glad I'm not watching him on Monday. Very, very glad. And whether it's Højbjerg, whether it's Skip, both of them very good players. Both of them lower in quality than what Basuma would offer. So it is a great deal of importance for us. Jack, I think I know what your score prediction is, by the way. If I could put £100 on it, I think that I do know. So we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm just thinking that if I could go to William Hill right now and put a bet on what you think the score is going to be, I would get a payout. I think in terms of the team, I think this is really interesting. And I think that for the sake of this, Jack, we have to assume that Diop won't be back. Just because the way Marco Silva said, it sounded like a quite serious injury. I would be fascinated. I want to put this out there before I say my team, to see Harry Wilson in the number 10 after his performance for Wales midweek. I would be fascinated. I thought he was brilliant from what I saw from the highlights. Didn't watch the full game, admittedly. And no, I was not there either in Wales. So I won't talk about that one. But I would love to see him in that 10 role. I think that'd be very interesting. I don't think that will happen. But I do think he should be involved. So my team would be Leno in goal, speaks for itself. If Tete is back, and I'm hoping he will be, I think he goes in at right back, and that's no disservice to Castagne, who's been great. But ultimately, he's going up against Heung-min Son. I want the better defender. I think that is Tete still.
Yeah.
Bassi and Ream, we don't have any other defenders at centre back, and Robinson at left back. The midfield is probably the most interesting, along with our options on the wing, I would say. I would go with Polinia, obviously. I would probably go with Lukic if he's
Oh,
back. And the reason for this is I want to go with basically what we saw against Arsenal, where we're not going to have the ball much, most likely. When we've got it, we need to be good at keeping it. And I think that Lukic was having a great start to the season. Wouldn't be annoyed if Reed started for his defensive contributions, but I would like to see Lukic start.
okay.
And then I wouldn't go with Pereira. I would go with Iwobi. I think Pereira will start.
Yeah.
I would go with Iwobi. And then for the front three, I think that Vinicius keeps his place up top. Hasn't been done for any grievous bodily harm, which is fantastic news for us, despite his many attempts. Also, I really thought the script was there for him last year when we went to Tottenham, Jack, if you remember, when he was making his debut for us and came on at the very end. And when we went to 2-1, I thought he was going to nick the equaliser against his old club, but didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
Willian on the left keeps his place. On the right, this is very, very interesting now because of Wilson's performance midweek. I think it has to be Bobby Reed for his performance for Fulham. I think that has to trump what Wilson did for Wales. But I wouldn't be surprised if Wilson's involved from the off. Would you do anything differently there, Jack?
I think in terms of pace on the break, and if we overturn the ball and transition, I'd have to go with Willian, Wilson, Pereira front three. I agree that Iwobi should be there, but knowing Marco, he probably just won't play him because he's so set in his ways of playing Pereira in the 10, which by the way isn't like that wasn't to insult Marco or anything. I just think that he's very trusting in his players, therefore he's more likely to stick with them as opposed to sort of drop them. And we've had this discussion a couple of weeks ago about Pereira, and I think after his performance against Sheffield United, he shouldn't be dropped. So, and then Vinicius up top, and then I'm going backwards. I think that I'm just going to go with who I think is going to start. Harrison Reed alongside Paulinho, and then the back four the same. If Tete's fit, he comes in. Bassi, Ream, Robinson, and then Leno in goal. Looking at the injury list for Spurs, no Bentancur, no Brennan Johnson, no Ivan Perisic, no Ryan Sessegnon, no Manos Solomon, and no Alfie Whiteman, who obviously is a youth player.
He's gonna return now and score now. I said that.
Go on, Joe. If you're so confident in what you think my score is going to be,
I'm now scared that I've got it completely and utterly wrong. But I just think you're going to say 1-1.
I thought you'd say that. I thought you would say that. I would think. Wait, I thought you would say that. I think it's going to be 1-1. Wrong. 1-0 Fulham.
William here will take my money. Well, you know what? Fair play. You see, I was going to go 1-1.
Interesting.
That's why I thought you had the same opinion as me. I think that we can really hit them on the break, and I really hope Traore's back. I would love that on the big pitch. Not from the off, but off the bench. And don't even get me started on the vision that I have of Raul Jimenez recreating his goal that he scored at the end that we're going to be sat at, Jack, or standing at, I should say, for Wolves, when he cuts inside and curls it into the far corner past Lloris on that occasion.
Was that 3-2
win? 3-2 win. Yeah.
From 2
I would love that. I would love that.
Oh, Jimenez first goal. I will be there.
I hope we're there.
Well, it might be, 2025 but
I might not be there, but I will probably watch it on VIP League.
or a Green King pub, of course.
Of course, yeah.
Right, so we're basically backing Fulham to get something from this game. I don't know why we're so confident, given we're playing.
I think it's quite simply because we're written off.
Yeah,
we all know it's going to be a really tough game. Neither of us, I don't think, would be surprised if we got convincingly beaten on Monday night. I think that's fair to say. But if we turn up and play like we do when we play a few of the big boys, for example, when we went to Arsenal, we can definitely get something here. And Tottenham have had a fantastic start to the season. That's in no doubt. They deserve to be right up there at the top of the league. That being said, they are not invincible. They've shown cracks, and if you can stop that attacking force that they've got, that defense is not unbreachable. And especially when they haven't got Basuma, I do think that we can really get at them. And if we play our best, I think we can get something.
Yeah, I have this air of confidence that Willian's going to... You remember that game where Willian starred in a 2-0 win for Chelsea at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and he was brilliant? I think he'll turn it on. He doesn't like Spurs, does he? So
he doesn't. He had a medical there, and then he ditched it.
Yeah, I remember. Joe, I was just looking at the Premier League table. Do you know who scored the most Premier League goals this season? This team? A team.
A team.
Yeah, which team has scored the most Premier League goals this season?
Interesting question. I feel like it's got to be Newcastle.
Oh, no. They've scored the second most amount of goals.
Wow.
Considering they scored 8 in one.
Yeah, and 5 in another. That's crazy. Who scored more?
Brighton.
Brighton? Huh? When?
21 goals. 2 against Liverpool. 1 against Villa.
Yeah.
3 against Bournemouth. 3 against United. 3 against Newcastle. 1 against West Ham. 4 against Wolves. And 4 against Luton.
Huh? Apologies, I got it massively wrong.
Been so scattered, haven't they? I suppose their opening 2 games is pretty good going.
I do have a theory that you can watch every single Brighton match ever at Green King pub, by the way, because they're never off the box, ever.
No. Well, they are this weekend, aren't they?
Yeah,
and they're playing Man City away, aren't they?
Yeah.
And of course, that's who we play next, of course, at the Amex. We'll preview that next week. I suppose that's really it for today. There's not really much else to talk about. During this international break, it's quite nice to sort of get some mini Fulham nuggets from somewhere in terms of a player who's performed at international level. It was fun seeing that shot of that Hungarian fan giving Mitrovic the middle finger. That was funny.
Fantastic.
That was a good night. Joe, this may be the end of the Jack and Joe show. It's not the end of our evening, though. Where are we going to be? We're going to be at the pub in a couple of hours' time watching England versus Italy in the flesh.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it, Jack. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't think it's any secret that I absolutely despise international breaks as the miserable.
I thought you were going to say the Italians.
that would have been awful of me. Oh my god.
Sorry, Joe, we got interrupted. Tell us about your hatred of the international break.
I just hate it, mate. I hate it. I hate watching England, other than tonight, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I hate watching Jordan Henderson play for my club.
Your club.
I just miss watching Fulham games, mate. I'm club over country every time in terms of football. I just can't get into it, mate. That being said, big game tonight. Feeling good about it. Fingers crossed by the time that this video comes up, we're through to the Euros officially.
Yes. A point or a win, apparently, is the way we need to qualify, which, if it doesn't happen tonight, Malta and North Macedonia should be fine enough to sort of get there and get it done and dusted. Joe, let's end it there because we've got places to be, quite literally. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks for all the support and the comments in the videos. And if you're going to Spurs or if you're just watching it, enjoy the game.
Yeah, if anyone knows of a spare, my lazy brother who didn't bother booking a ticket wants one and will pay, face value for it. So if anyone knows of any spares, my Twitter handles are just try and hit me up via the socials and he'll be very grateful. Joe, I'll see you in a couple of hours, but I'll also see you in the concourse for a pint at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Guys, enjoy the game. Thanks so much for being here. And where are we? Here we go. And come on, Fulham.